the massive wealth they create for a select few isn't as rare as you might think. Inequality has now reached levels not seen since 1929, the year the Great Depression began, and stands to get even worse. The same forces that have given rise to massive companies and concentrated wealth have made it more difficult for working people to benefit from the economic opportunity they expect and deserve. By the numbers, Americans are working just as hard as ever, but are still struggling to get by. Most Americans cannot find $400 in the case of an emergency, like a car accident or a hospitalization. Yet I was able to make $500 million for 3 years of work. Something is profoundly wrong with our economy and in our country, and we have to fix it. I believe we live at the beginning of a tumultuous era, similar to the turn of the last century, when railroad and shipping tycoons amassed historic fortunes. We need to be as open to creative new ideas as the most forward-thinking leaders of the progressive era were then. They created an income tax, enacted direct elections for senators, banned corporate contributions to political campaigns, enfranchised women, and laid the groundwork for labor protections like the minimum wage and old age pensions. We need to be equally bold today. And we should ground our solutions in what works. I've come to believe that dollar for dollar, the most effective intervention in the fight for economic justice is the simplest. Cash put in the hands of the people who need it most. The guaranteed income is as radical an idea as it is simple. An income floor of $500 per month for every working adult whose family makes less than $50,000 would improve the lives of 90 million Americans and lift 20 million people out of poverty overnight. Wage laborers and informal workers alike, parents with young kids, adults taking care of aging parents and students, would earn the benefit. It should be paid for by the 1%. I hope this book starts a broader conversation about why we need a guaranteed income in the United States and how it might work. We can be the generation that ends poverty in America and provides financial stability and economic opportunity to the middle class. This book traces my journey from a little town in North Carolina to Harvard, through Facebook's blockbuster rise, and to my life afterward. It tells the story of how I grappled with the responsibility of such early, quote-unquote, success, and how I came to embrace a guaranteed income. That journey began with poking around blog posts and online forums. It took me to Kenya and back 3 times, and to communities in Ohio, Michigan, North Carolina, California, and Alaska, all in the pursuit of figuring out what works and what doesn't in our economy today. We have to start having honest conversations about fairness and economic opportunity, even if they are awkward or painful, if we're ever going to fix our country's problems. I hope this book can be a starting point for a frank discussion about the fraying connection between work and wealth, and specifically how a guaranteed income can restore stability and opportunity to the lives of working Americans. The American dream, the idea that we can all do a bit better than the generation that came before us, is an optimistic idea that we should cultivate and reinforce. It has long been more myth than reality, but it is up to all of us, particularly those of us who are benefiting most from the status quo, to work to build a country where everyone has a fair shot to pursue their dreams. How it happens. My father grew up on the grounds of a country club in Mount Airy, North Carolina, the town that inspired Mayberry on the Andy Griffith Show. He was born in the early years of the Great Depression, and for the first decade of his life, his parents and he shared a single room in the back of the small clubhouse, heated by a wood stove. His father was the club manager and groundskeeper, and his mother worked in the pro shop. As a kid, he worked as a golf caddy, learning to endear himself to the golfers. When he became a traveling paper salesman as an adult, he used that charm to win the affection and loyalty of his customers. As he sees it, he picked himself up by his bootstraps and made good on the American dream, providing our family with a home, a stable income, and a middle-class lifestyle. Today, he is 85, and his life's trajectory makes him skeptical that we need a guaranteed income in the United States. My own life leads me to the opposite conclusion. My success at Facebook taught me that seemingly small events, like who you choose to room with in college, can have outsized impacts on the rest of your life. To tell you how my dad and I eventually found common ground, I need to tell you the story of where I grew up, the rocket